7:30 in the evening, the bride disappeared, in a white dress, bouquet in hand. The wedding guests were still dancing, the musicians still playing, family members still laughing. No one noticed that Emily Patterson was no longer there. The next morning, they found her car, empty, engine still warm, keys by the steering wheel, part of the wedding dress on the driver's seat. But Emily Patterson had vanished. This happened 28 years ago, and they still don't know what became of her. The perfect wedding. Emily Patterson was 23 years old when she said yes to James Morrison. The ceremony took place in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon, in a picturesque little church that Emily's family had used for weddings and funerals for 3 generations. The weather was perfect that September afternoon. The air carried the scent of autumn. Trees displayed golden and red colors. Emily was beautiful. Her long chestnut hair was styled in curls. Her mother's vintage pearl necklace sparkled on her neck. The dress was simple but elegant. White silk, long sleeves, a narrow belt emphasized her slender waist. Every detail was perfect. Emily had been planning this day for years. James Morrison was a 26-year-old local attorney, respected by everyone in town. His father was also a lawyer. The family enjoyed a good reputation in Portland. The young couple had been together for 3 years, and everyone considered it natural that they would marry. According to Emily's mother, they were made for each other. The ceremony went flawlessly. Emily's father, Robert Patterson, walked his daughter down the church aisle with tears in his eyes. Her mother, Margaret, smiled proudly in the front row. James's brother, David, served as best man. Emily's friend, Sarah, as maid of honor. 40 guests were present. Family members, close friends, a few colleagues. Pastor Williams, who had served the church for a quarter century, conducted the wedding ceremony. He later stated, "I never saw a happier couple." Emily glowed like an angel. James looked at her so proudly, as if he had found treasure. During the vow exchange, Emily's voice rang clearly through the church walls. James's words sounded firm. Both are remembered by those present. The ring exchange went smoothly. They kissed, and the guests applauded. Everything natural, happy. The reception. The wedding reception took place at the Patterson family estate, just 10 minutes from the church. The house was a large Victorian-style building that Robert Patterson's grandfather had built in the 20s. The garden was enormous, with manicured lawns and century-old oak trees, perfect venue for a wedding reception. Guests arrived at 6 o'clock. Dinner was traditional: roast beef, fried chicken, various side dishes. Emily's mother had been preparing for weeks, planning every tiny detail. The wedding cake was 3-tiered, with vanilla cream and fresh flowers. Emily and James danced their first dance to "The Way You Look Tonight." Frank Sinatra's classic was Emily's favorite song. James wasn't a good dancer, but that evening he elegantly spun his wife. Guests stood around them in a circle, many crying from emotion. The band was local, 3 men who played jazz standards. The bass player, Tommy Martinez, who worked that evening, later said, "They were a beautiful couple." Emily smiled all evening. James was proud. You could see it on him. It wouldn't have occurred to anyone that anything bad could happen. After dinner came dancing. Emily danced with every guest, with her father, James's father, her uncle, even her teenage cousin. Everyone noted how energetic and happy she was. Sarah, her friend, later said, "Emily loved dancing." That evening she moved as if she had wings. I never saw her so happy. Around 9 o'clock, Emily disappeared for a moment. Sarah noticed and asked James where his wife was. James said she was probably in the house, maybe changing clothes or making a phone call. No one worried. At wedding receptions, it's natural for the bride to disappear for a minute or two. The first alarming signs. At 9:30, Sarah went to look for Emily in the house. She went through every room, the living room, kitchen, bedrooms, even the bathrooms. She didn't find her. She returned to the garden and told James. That's when James began to worry. They asked the guests. No one had seen Emily in the last half hour. Robert Patterson, Emily's father, walked through the entire estate. The garden house, garages, even the basement. No trace of Emily. Margaret Patterson, Emily's mother, started to panic. Emily would never leave without a word, she repeated, especially not from her own wedding. She's not that kind of girl. The guests helped search. Some brought lanterns and walked through the surrounding forest. Others searched along the road. No one found anything. Emily Patterson had vanished without a trace. James became increasingly nervous. He called the local police. At 10:15, Sheriff Williams and 2 deputies arrived. They began questioning the guests, but no one could help. Then came the shocking discovery. The mysterious car. Emily's car was found around 11 o'clock. It stood at the beginning of a forest path, about 2 kilometers from the Patterson estate. The white Honda Civic's door was open, the engine still running. The radio could be heard softly. Sheriff Williams immediately rushed to the scene. What he saw, he never forgot. On the driver's seat lay part of Emily's wedding dress. Someone had torn off the bottom part of the skirt. There was blood on it. Not much, but definitely blood. The steering wheel was full of fingerprints, but they were all Emily's. In the glove compartment, they found Emily's purse with her wallet, keys, and jewelry. Nothing was missing. The most terrifying detail, however, was what they found around the car. On the ground, scattered in a circle, lay petals from Emily's wedding bouquet, as if someone had deliberately torn them apart. The bouquet stem was nowhere to be found. Sheriff Williams immediately issued an APB for Emily. A helicopter arrived. They brought in dog units. By the next morning, more than 150 people were searching the area, unsuccessfully. The medical examiner examined the blood on the dress. It matched Emily's blood type. However, the amount wasn't enough to indicate serious injury. It looked more like a small cut or scratch, the expert said. The beginning of the investigation. The police took the case seriously. Emily's disappearance met all the conditions to be classified as kidnapping. Sheriff Williams was an experienced investigator. He had served in Portland for 42 years, but even he hadn't seen a case like this. The first suspects were naturally close family members and friends. James Morrison was the first to be questioned in detail. His alibi was perfect. He stayed at the wedding reception when Emily disappeared. At least 20 witnesses saw him. Sarah, the friend, was also questioned. She was the last to speak with Emily before the disappearance. The conversation seemed innocent. Sarah asked Emily if she was tired. Emily said a little yes, but happy. Emily's father, Robert, and mother, Margaret, were also questioned. Both were at the reception when Emily disappeared. Their alibis were solid. The investigators then went through the entire guest list. They questioned 40 people. No one seemed suspicious. No one saw anything unusual. However, one detail seemed strange. Emily's car had been filled with gas that afternoon. The gas station attendant, Jake Morrison, remembered it. He said Emily was alone, behaving naturally. However, Jake found one thing strange. "I asked her if she was excited about the wedding," Jake recounted. "I expected her to answer happily." But Emily stopped for a moment, and a strange expression appeared on her face. Then she said, "Yes, I'm excited. Maybe too much." I found this answer strange. Unexpected turn. 2 weeks after Emily's disappearance, the investigation took an unexpected turn. A local post office employee, Linda Hayes, reported to the police. She claimed that on the day of Emily's disappearance, at 4 in the afternoon, she had mailed a letter. "I remember because she was in a wedding dress," Linda said. "Naturally, I asked why she wasn't at the reception. Emily said she had to send an important letter before the ceremony started." The letter was addressed to James Morrison, Emily's own husband, but James claimed he never received such a letter. Sheriff Williams ordered the post office to be searched. The letter was finally found. One of the local mail carriers had accidentally put it in an office desk drawer and forgotten to deliver it. The letter's content was shocking. "Dear James," the letter began in Emily's handwriting. "By the time you read this, I'll be far away. I can't marry you. I know this is terrible, and I know everyone will be angry with me. But there's something I can't tell anyone. Something that means we can't be married. Forgive me if you can. I love you, but I can't stay. Emily." The letter's mystery. The letter overturned the entire investigation. If Emily deliberately left the wedding, why was there blood on her dress? Why did she leave everything in the car? And where did she go? Sheriff Williams called in a handwriting expert. The specialist confirmed the handwriting was undoubtedly Emily's. It couldn't be a forgery. James Morrison collapsed. "I don't understand," he repeated. "Emily was happy. We loved each other. Why would she write that she can't marry me?" The investigators began examining Emily's past. Maybe she had some secret that no one knew about. They spoke with old friends, colleagues at work, even high school teachers. Emily Patterson seemingly lived a completely normal life. She came from a good family, was a good student, popular among peers. In college, she studied psychology, then worked at a local hospital as a social worker. Everyone liked her. One detail, however, was notable. Emily's best friend from college, Emma Rodriguez, told strange things. "Emily changed in the last year," Emma said. "I couldn't say exactly how, but as if something was weighing on her. When I asked what was wrong, she said nothing. But I felt she was lying." According to Emma, Emily often talked about dreams. Strange, confused dreams. "One dream always returned," Emma recounted. Emily dreamed she was in a forest, in white clothes, and someone was chasing her. She never saw who it was, but she was terribly afraid of them. She always woke up at the same moment, when the pursuer caught up with her. Psychological profile. Dr. Amanda Chen, a psychologist who worked with the police, created a profile of Emily based on the letter and witness testimonies. Emily Patterson lived a seemingly perfect life on the outside, Dr. Chen said, but something was pressuring her. Based on the letter, it seemed she had some secret she couldn't share with anyone. This secret was serious enough that she preferred to disappear rather than face it. According to Dr. Chen, Emily's behavior at the wedding reception was also suspicious. Witnesses say she was overly energetic, smiled too much, danced too much, as if she was overcompensating for something, as if she wanted to be happy one last time. However, one thing didn't fit the picture: the blood on the dress and the scattered flower petals. If Emily deliberately left, why did she leave these pieces of evidence behind? There are two possibilities, Dr. Chen continued. Either Emily really deliberately left, but something happened to her on the way, or someone else staged the clues to make us think Emily deliberately left. New leads. 3 months after Emily's disappearance, a witness came forward. Carol Stevens, who owned a farm near Portland, claimed she saw a woman on her property on the evening of Emily's disappearance. It was around 11 o'clock, Carol recounted. A woman in white clothes was running toward the forest. It was dark. I couldn't see her face, but the clothes were clearly bridal. She was screaming something, but I couldn't make out what. Carol's farm was 3 kilometers from where Emily's car was found. This also matched the timing. Emily disappeared at 7:30 from the reception. The car was found around 11 o'clock. The police searched Carol's farm and the surrounding forests with dog units. They found nothing. However, Carol Stevens also reported another detail. Before I saw the woman, I heard a car, she said. It was going fast, braked, then drove away. Maybe 10 minutes before I saw the woman in white clothes. This raised another question. If Emily was alone in the car, who drove away from there? Investigation dead ends. Over the following years, Sheriff Williams and his team followed more than 100 leads. All led to dead ends. They checked bus stations, airports, train stations. Emily didn't use public transportation after her disappearance. They reviewed bank transactions. Emily didn't use her bank card or credit cards after disappearing. They called every hospital in the area. No one remembered an injured bride. They checked hotels. Emily didn't check in anywhere. They placed newspaper ads, appeared on TV, put up posters. No one saw Emily after her disappearance. The FBI also joined the case. They issued a nationwide search. They made no progress. James Morrison waited for his wife for a year. Then he moved away from Portland and started a new life. "I can't wait forever for a ghost," he told the local newspaper. Emily's parents, Robert and Margaret Patterson, never gave up hope. Every year they held Emily's birthday celebration in case she came home. Margaret bought Emily new wedding dresses every year. "Because when she comes home, she'll want to get married again," she said. The new witness. 15 years after Emily's disappearance, a man came forward claiming he knew what happened that night. His name was David Turner, and he had previously lived in Portland, but then moved away. David said that on the night of Emily's disappearance, he was also in the forest, hunting, illegally, which is why he hadn't come forward earlier. "I saw a woman running in the forest," David recounted. "She was in white clothes like a ghost. She was screaming for help. I wanted to go after her, but then I saw someone chasing her." According to David, a man was following Emily in the forest. He didn't see his face, but he was tall and thin. "The woman disappeared among the trees," David continued. "The man too. I couldn't find them." David Turner's testimony restarted the investigation. However, 10 years later, it was discovered that David's mental state was questionable. He had been hospitalized several times for psychological problems. His testimony was unreliable. The second letter. 20 years after Emily's disappearance, Margaret Patterson received another letter. According to the postmark, it came from Seattle. The letter read, "Dear Mama, I'm alive and safe. I can't come home, but I think of you. I love you. Emily." According to the handwriting expert, it was the same as the first letter. Emily's handwriting. But where could it have come from after 20 years? Margaret Patterson immediately notified the police. The investigators tried to trace the letter's path, but unsuccessfully. The Seattle post office couldn't help. This second letter gave Emily's family new hope. Maybe she's alive after all. Maybe secretly, somewhere else with a new identity. But why doesn't she come home? And why doesn't she give more precise information about herself? The third investigation. Sheriff Williams was retired by then. The new sheriff, Tom Bradley, took over the case. He approached the investigation from a new angle. Bradley said the investigators of previous decades had made a mistake. They concentrated too much on the disappearance and not enough on the wedding day. "Something happened that day," he said. "Something that made Emily decide she couldn't get married." Bradley re-questioned all the wedding guests. 25 years later, 30 of them were still alive. And finally, he found a detail that everyone had previously overlooked. Emily's cousin, Lisa, remembered something strange. "Emily visited me in the house an hour before the wedding," Lisa recounted. "She was very nervous and asked if I could keep a secret. I said yes, but then James came and Emily stopped." According to Lisa, Emily wanted to tell her something very important, but James's arrival prevented her from doing so. The final discovery. Sheriff Bradley decided to search Emily's house again. The Patterson family had already sold the estate, but the new owners allowed the search. In the basement of the house, in an old wooden box, Bradley found some things. Emily's diary was among them. The last entry was from the wedding day. The diary's last page was shocking. "I can't do it. I can't marry someone with a secret I can never tell. Mom and Dad did terrible things, and I know about it. If James finds out, the whole family will collapse. But if I don't tell, then we'll live in lies. There's no good solution. Maybe it's better if I disappear." Based on the diary, Emily knew something about her parents' past, something she was ashamed of. Sheriff Bradley began investigating Robert and Margaret Patterson's past, and he found something. The parents' secret. Robert Patterson, Emily's father, had been involved in a car accident 20 years before the wedding. A young woman died. During the case, Robert claimed that the other driver was at fault. The insurance paid, the case was closed. However, Sheriff Bradley found an old police report that no one had pulled before. In it, a witness claimed that Robert Patterson was driving drunk that night. But this witness disappeared before he could testify in court. Margaret Patterson, Emily's mother, was also involved in the case. She was the witness who provided Robert Patterson's alibi. But according to the report, Margaret wasn't where she claimed to be either. Emily had somehow learned about her parents' past, and this knowledge became such a burden for her that she preferred to disappear rather than face it. The truth takes shape. Sheriff Bradley believes Emily Patterson knew her parents had lied in court. She knew they were responsible for an innocent person's death and had never paid the price for it. This knowledge became unbearable for Emily on her wedding day. She felt she couldn't be happy while this secret weighed on her. But she also knew that if she revealed the truth, she would destroy her family. Based on the diary, Emily planned to simply disappear, start a new life elsewhere, with a new name. The letter she wrote to James supports this. But what happened at the car? Why was there blood on the dress? Bradley believes Emily really deliberately left the wedding. She went to the forest where another car was waiting for her. Maybe an old friend she had asked to help. While changing clothes, she injured herself, hence the blood on the dress. She deliberately scattered the flower petals to make everyone think there had been a struggle. The letter 20 years later means Emily really is alive but doesn't want to come home. She doesn't want her parents to find out what she knows about them. Epilogue. The unsolved mystery. 28 years have passed since Emily Patterson's disappearance. The official investigation is still open, but there's little chance of solving it. Robert Patterson died 5 years ago, Margaret a year ago. Both took their secret with them, if there was a secret at all. James Morrison remarried and has 2 children. He rarely speaks of his first wife, but when he does, always with love. Sarah, Emily's friend, still lives in Portland. Every year she brings flowers to the place where Emily's car was found. "I know she's alive," she says. "I feel it." Sheriff Bradley still works on the case. He wrote letters to every major city in the country, hoping someone would recognize Emily. So far, no one has responded. The new owner who bought the Patterson estate claims he hears strange sounds at night, as if someone is dancing in the garden, in white clothes. The local people have made Emily Patterson's story into a legend. They say that on wedding nights you can still see her in the forest, in a wedding dress, with a bouquet in her hand. She's going home, but never reaches her destination. The church where Emily said yes still operates. Pastor Williams's successor, Pastor Matthews, says he sometimes feels Emily's presence in the building. As if she's still here, he says. As if she's still waiting for the story to somehow turn out well. Dr. Chen, the psychologist who once worked on the case, is now retired. In her opinion, Emily Patterson's night changed all of them who were touched by it. "We learned that even a perfect life isn't always perfect," Dr. Chen says. Emily's story reminds us that we all carry secrets, and sometimes those secrets are bigger than us. The Portland City Library keeps all the documents of Emily Patterson's case. More than 7,000 pages of testimonies, reports, photographs, and letters. Anyone who wants can read them, but the truth is still hiding somewhere between the lines. Or maybe it was never there. Emily Patterson, the girl who never came home from her wedding, is living somewhere out there. Or at least we hope she's living. And maybe one day she'll return to finally tell the truth. Or maybe she'll never come back, and the mystery will remain forever unsolved. But one thing is certain, the story didn't end that autumn night 28 years ago when Emily Patterson disappeared from her own wedding. Somewhere out there, it's still continuing. And maybe you've seen her too. Maybe you were the one who glimpsed a white figure at the edge of the forest on an autumn night. Maybe you heard that strange music that came from nowhere. Maybe you felt that cold that suddenly surrounded you at a wedding reception. Because Emily Patterson's story isn't just about disappearance. It's about how sometimes the darkest secrets hide behind perfect moments. About how sometimes the only way out is to simply walk away from your life. And if one day you meet a woman who seems too beautiful to be real, too sad to be happy, and too familiar to be a stranger, ask her name. Maybe the answer will be Emily. The story ends here, but Emily Patterson is still out there somewhere and waiting.